Hey everybody, welcome back to Seminary Reflections, the show where I, Brandon Knight, a seminary grad student, sits back and looks at the world of seminary and changes I would want to see happen, things that I like, things that need to be challenged, respond and think about a lot of the critiques that come from those who have not been into the seminary world, and try to respond to those in my best possible way, even if it does mean saying, yeah, you got a good point there. So in today's video, I want to talk a little bit about a comment I received on a video that came out over the summer. So over the summer, just to backtrack a little bit, in case you haven't seen this one, I did a video talking about how there is now an accredited master's degree in happiness studies. And kind of in this like leadership coaching world conversation or line of work, I should say. And I talked about how it's interesting being in a day and age where you can more than likely at this point get a degree, certificate, a piece of paper saying, hey, you did this, you studied this, on almost anything. It seems like there are all kinds of either accredited or non-accredited courses, degree programs, certificates that people can get. And I, along with just kind of my own like questioning of the concept of happiness studies, I also talked a lot in the video of just questioning like how beneficial career-wise could some of these actually be. Like I understand, taking like you go on Coursera, for example, and you take some of the like Google or IBM classes to get like data analytics training and coding and things like that. I can understand learning that as like a skill. How marketable, which are all terms that certain people of the seminary world are going to hate me for talking like this. I don't necessarily agree with anything I'm saying. I'm just using the terms I know to use. How marketable are those actually going to be on a resume or CV or anything like that? Can you actually use those skills to then translate into a career that you're actually interested in? I don't know. I can say that, for the podcast, My Seminary Life, for the Ancient Greece series, I found an free online course on Athens and Sparta, and I took that class, self-paced the whole bit, to use it as a way to study, to prepare for the class. It was helpful for me for that specific purpose. Could I then put that class on my resume, CV, whatever, my non-existent LinkedIn profile? And does that make me more marketable to people who want somebody who has a little bit of knowledge about Athens and Sparta? If I was to suddenly pivot into the humanities, is having that certificate, that class, going to really help me with that? Okay, but back on the happiness now. So on that video, I did receive a comment from somebody who is a part of this happiness studies world. I looked at their channel because at first I thought the comment was sarcastic, but I think it was actually very nice. Turns out I think it may have been a very nice comment. I went to this person's page, and they make happiness, positivity, culture content. Okay, and their comment on my video was thanking me for the exposure for the degree program, because they've been doing happiness studies for a very long time and appreciate me getting the news out there. Now, the video is more of a critique of the concept of happiness studies, but I guess if you're in this like positivity world, all press is good press. Maybe that's where we're at. It's just all press is good press. So since I talked about it, and I think it's one of the higher videos from over the summer, higher viewed videos from over the summer, that, all press is good press. And that brings me to right here, right now, because this did get me thinking. One, of like, man, I'm a bit of a jerk, aren't I, for dunking on this guy's thing, and then he's going to respond with, hey, thanks for talking about it. So before you see this video, you're welcome, since I'm talking about it again. But the second thing it got me thinking of is, as somebody who is in the seminary space, in the Christian ministry world, what place does that happiness studies have in the seminary classroom? Let's just take everything, all the negative comments I said in the last video, although I think I still stand by them. Let's take that and just put it here for a sec. Put it over here for a second. And now we're going to look at this through okay, is this actually something that should be in the seminary classroom? Happiness studies. Or, as I discovered as I started getting back and looking at, the articles on this, I realized that although happiness studies is a relatively new concept, the concept of positive psychology is, well, still relatively new. I'm older than positive psychology, but is still older than happiness studies. And it's this whole, I'm oversimplifying here, okay? So it is a process it's a psychological evaluation process that focuses more on positively shaping people through positive reinforcement and trying to see the better parts of life versus, I guess you could say, the more traditional way of doing psychology and counseling that focuses more on working through trauma, going through the issues, things like that. So you have like the heavy kind of hard, dark version of psychology and counseling, and then positive psychology came along in the late 90s and said, let's focus on the good instead as a way to shape and change people. Now, I did not have to take a psychology or a counseling class in seminary. I did have to take this really, it wasn't great, but I did have to take like an intro to psychology when I was in college. It wasn't a very good course. Dr. Jonathan Roy, who's been on the My Seminary Life podcast before, we went to college together. And so we have talked a few times about, reminiscing about college days. And he has frequently, even very recently, brought up just how much he despised that class. As somebody who is now in the counseling world as a professor, like, he hates it. Seems like his disdain for that class grows as the years go by. But I think that also does show how we in the Christian world, both academically and also just like on a church ministry level, have oftentimes severely dropped the ball when it comes to counseling and psychology. There's different schools of thoughts when it comes to counseling and psychological evaluation, and I do not have time to break that all down here in this video. The purpose here is to address should, and you can drop in the comments, especially those of you who are maybe more, I just have like dipped my toe into the water of positive psychology. So for those of you who have gone more into it, should positive psychology be something that is taught in the seminary Bible college world? Is positive psychology something that ministry students specifically, and also, counselors and the whole bit, is that something that is biblically based, truly biblically based, that should be a part of the classroom? And although I did say I'm not going to get too deep into all the different perspectives, by biblically based, what I mean there is not the nouthetic counseling approach of you just use Bible and prayer to counsel somebody. What I mean by that is what is being taught in positive psychology, does God agree with that? Does Scripture agree with that? That's what I mean by biblically based, of like, because we shouldn't be teaching two very different things here in a seminary Bible college world. this also gets back to the fact of like, I truly think, and I've talked about this before on my Seminary Life podcast, that in the world that we live now, ministry students need counseling courses. They probably need counseling in general, but be that as it may, because I need a lot of counseling, be that as it may, that they probably need to be in counseling. They need counseling and psychology courses as part of their framework for the amount of things that I bring up of, hey, this is something I did not have to take, and now I'm in the ministry world and I'm hurting because I don't have these. I have not had the training when I was in the academic training world, and now I have to figure out it on the fly kind of thing. And, you can talk about, you could talk about how we can learn skills through doing. You can talk about how not everything needs to be taught through the classroom academic world. You're going to have a really hard time convincing me, though, that I can watch YouTube videos and then be able to accurately diagnose and counsel and psychologically evaluate people. I'm not trusting my own just like watching of YouTube videos and reading random articles on Psychology Today in order to go do that. I think that should be something that is handled more professionally in the training. You can disagree with that if you want. I do think that there is a lot of good resources on YouTube, online, whatever. But the primary training, the first step training, should be coming from experienced professionals in a learning environment, I think. And then you kind of supplement and learn more through the other stuff that you get through articles, blogs, YouTube videos, the like. I want somebody who is credited, who is like a known person who knows what they're talking about, teaching me, versus I'm just going to watch a couple YouTube videos and see how it goes. So the good news is in all of this, though I don't have full conclusions now, again, thank you, person, for commenting. At some point in the future, either by late this year or early 2026, I've been planning on for a while now, doing a theology, psychology series, the intersection of theology and psychology style series. It's something I have been, for my seminary life, that is. It is something that I've been putting off for a while because, like I just got done saying, I want to make sure I have all my ducks in a row before I sit down and start talking about this. Because this is something that you could really, obviously bad theology can also do this, but you can really mess a person up if you do not do this well. So I want to take this is something I've been wanting to do for a while, but I want to take it so seriously that I keep putting it off as I kind of pick together the components that I need in order to do a When Theology Met Psychology series. And yes, I'm so relevant. I'm quoting, I'm using a movie reference from, what was that, the late 80s for the title of the series, When Theology Met Psychology. And thanks to this little rabbit trail I've fallen down of happiness studies, positive psychology, I think that part of this series that I'm going to do eventually for the podcast is wrestling with what place, if any, should this field of study play in the training that is amazingly lacking at this point of ministry students. Where should positive psychology be in the seminary classroom? Should it be in the seminary classroom? I'm very excited for this series. Like I said, just with everything that's been going on, unfortunately, it's probably not going to happen until either late this year or early 2026. I know it's February, and thinking about 2026 is already like, that's too soon. Too soon to be thinking about next year already. I have it on my spreadsheet, though, of potential options for the future. And yeah, looks like we'll have a little blip in there about positive psychology and talk more There will be more talk about this in the future. I don't know if there'll be more videos here, but there'll be more talk about it in the future. But should positive psychology be a part of seminary students' training, Bible college students' training? Counselors in Christian counseling, should they be familiar with positive psychology? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. Please hit the like if you enjoyed it. If you didn't like it, you can hit the thumbs down. You have free will, after all. You can do either one of those things, or none of it, even. And if you haven't yet already, please consider subscribing to the Studio 219 YouTube channel, where I'm gonna be rolling out all kinds of faith and pop culture style content here on the channel. So please subscribe if you haven't yet already. And that's it for today. We'll see you all in the next video.